So the quickest class of the day in the water box, and it is Warren Jacobson with his 1967 Chevy 2 at a Mission. Going up against fellow Mission local Colton Morin with the 615 cubic inch big block Chevy Morin Motorsports Racetech Dragster. Both the drivers pre-staged. Throttle stop in play for Warren Jacobson, looking to get the 1090 Super Street Index for a super combo later today. 005 to 008 line, not a bad start at all. Colton Morin goes 788 at 168 miles an hour. Jacobson 1086 at 141. That brings up Mark Muscant. Lorco Auto Parts Chevy has the 406 cubic inch small block Chevy motor alongside Emma Debris-Coos. For the B&D Lift Trucks, Shotgun Trucking, Competition Tree Services, Straight Line Race Cars, Grandma, Grandpa, and Bow Tie Ventures 1988 Dragster on the far lane. For Debris-Coos as the car loses fire immediately off the hitch. Muscant goes down track and is going to put in a 1063 at 130 miles an hour, but Emma Debris-Coos, the drags are going to lose life, and I'd imagine we'd have to push that car back and out. So we're going to push the dragster back and out. Martin Rochelle backs out the Malibu. I'd imagine Martin Rochelle, much like Warren Jacobson earlier on, also going to be utilizing a throttle stop to try and hit the 1090 Super Street Index. Rochelle's dance partner for this first round of qualifying going to be John Jenkins. For the West Coast Building Restorations, McKenzie Racing, and Bubba Speed Shop 1988 S10. Goes 1033 at a buck 27, while Rochelle goes 1096 at 127. Attention in the pits, tension in the pits. Hot Rod to lanes 5 and 6. We need Hot Rod down to lanes 5 and 6. Lorco Auto Parts Super Combo, you are on standby. Another dragster. This one headed up by Greg Dowdy. For the Modern dragster goes up against the Super Pro finalist from last week, John Taback. Rack Torque Systems and Titanium Auto Group's S10. Down track goes the dragster, goes 775 at $1.69, while John Taback goes 1040 at 127. Up, it's Ted Butts with the Shawnigan Trucking Straight Line Race Cars 1934 Roadster going up against Emma DeBree has got the car refired. They'll try to launch her dragster again. Ted Butts was not present last season. Well, this time the car gets a little bit further down track, but definitely not a lot of life in it. Over half a second on the reaction time. Ted Bus goes 896 at $1.45, and Emma DeBree going to be a stroll slow to 16 seconds. Not quick enough to qualify for Super Bowl. Next up, it's Andy Hatton for the Bubba Speed Shop Titanium Auto Group. Thames Ribbon and Velocity Chemicals Camaro, dubbed the Grinch, facing off against Monroe Sr. for the White Knuckle Racing Model A. Drivers with red lights. Andy Hatton goes 826 at $1.62, while Monroe Sr. goes 858 at $1.54. Next up, Paul Soares and Dan Parsons, the 1995 Pontiac, going up against the Quality Racing Duster. Paul Soares with the 002 line goes 810 at 168 miles an hour. Dan Parsons went 1090 with a 9 at 131 miles an hour. Next up, Kevin McNichol, last week's winner, or not last week's winner, but 2 weeks ago the winner, brings up the 67 Nova against Mike Stewart with the Bucky's Mini Excavating, Ken Specialty Auto, Gibson Racing Transmissions, and Big Al Motorsports Chevy 2. Miles an hour. McNichol goes 1008 at 133. And that brings up the next pair. Jan Christensen brings up the usually runs a 78 Z28. That is definitely a dragster there on the far side. Going up against the Mustang over here, Tower Side. Dale Phillips usually runs his Mustang in the Canada West Door Slammers category. Of course, Door Slammer's not running this afternoon. Next up, it's Ken Ryan with the 002 line goes 810 at $1.62, while Monroe Sr. goes 858 at $1.54. Next up, it's Paul Soares with the 002 line goes 810 at $1.62, while Monroe Sr. goes 858 at $1.54. Down track, Jim Christian 7:16, 183 miles an hour. Dale Phillips goes 10:48 at $1.80. Next up, it's the Gibson brothers. Justin versus Jason. Twin Mustang Fox bodies here. One from 88, one from 91. Both racers hailing from Surrey. Jason Gibson 968 at 138. Next up is the Ren Schwartz and John Tabak. Not John Tabak. John Tabak's right beside me. Look at me just reading off the computer screen. Week. 10:14 at 132. Hoffman goes 10:27 at 128.
So good to see Fred Hoffman back at Mission Raceway Park. It's been a little while. Fred Hoffman, a veteran in the classes of Super Pro and Super Street. That 67 Camaro has been down racetracks I don't know how many times. I can tell you this though, if you have a look inside, the carpet underneath the pedals is just completely worn away. It's about a 1 foot round hole. So that was Kevin Garlock in the right lane. 9:06, 147 miles an hour. Daryl Tippy with an 013 initiated, 10:46 in the left lane. And that'll bring up the Duck in today's field. Jim Benke driving his 19, I think it's a 74 maybe, Scamp. Not really sure of the year, not 100% sure anyway. 73, Nolan informs me. Thanks, Nolan. So Jim Benke, the 67 CUDA that we're used to seeing Jim drive is out of service temporarily. So he's got the Plymouth Scamp, and he is going to be who everyone wants in round number 1. And the reason for that is no knock against Jim, but in the class of Super Pro, you are forced to dial at least 1199. And that little Scamp is not capable of coming up anywhere near that number. Yes, so Jim Benke has essentially invested the money in tech cards so he can at least come up here and be a round 1 loser and collect 30 points, which will work towards earning a spot on Team On a Mission.
Of course, still going up against Chris Stone in qualifying, because why wouldn't he? They always do this. It's a tradition for them at this point. And down for a little bit, looking like cleaning something up on the right lane. So should be back up and rolling shortly. I'm spying at least 2 more dragsters over in the lanes. A lot of dragsters out today, way more than we had for the season opener 2 weeks ago.
That's great news. Absolutely. Decent field in Super Pro here this morning. So while we were just talking about Jim Benke and Chris Stone, always showing up together to run time trials, I can bet you this much, the exact same thing is going to happen for round number 1. Typically, they avoid each other in the staging lanes for round 1 because it's randomly paired, and truth is, if you're far enough apart from each other, it would be impossible to get each other in round 1. Well, I'm going to say this morning's going to be the opposite of that. Jim knows his chances are virtually zero in round number one, and who does he want to see get through round number one? Well, his buddy Chris Stone. So I'm thinking that little scamp is going to be glued to the back bumper of that black dart for round number one.
I'm seeing Jeremy Soares, Craig Johnson still in the lanes, Justin Bonds back there with the Pontiac. Alongside Katnick with his door slammer, Fox Body. Took his first win of the Canada West Door Slammers a couple years ago. We've seen a few of the door slammer guys making some hits over here in Super Pro the last, throughout all of race one and throughout the first batch of qualifying today. Getting those cars prepped up for the Winter Harbor Marina and RV Canada West Door Slammer season, kicking off before too long. I believe they are going to be having their first race of the season at our next JBS Equipment ET Series race weekend. We saw Brian Ritchie in particular out 2 weeks ago. Went out early, unfortunately, in eliminations. He was not the only one, though. We've already seen Dale Phillips make hits down track. We've seen Paul Soares make the race in both round one and now here in round three as well. Well, while we have this bit of a downtime, going to thank Rad Torque Systems. Thank you to Rad Torque Systems for powering performance at Mission Raceway, a BC-based global leader in torque technology. Rad brings precision, strength, and innovation to industries and now to the track. We're grateful for your support of local motorsports and engineering excellence. Rad Torque Systems, proud sponsors of the Super Pro category here at the Titanium Strip. As well as that, Half Track Snack Shack is open for business, currently serving lunch. Swing on down, pick up some chicken strips, some fries, some burgers. As I understand, fresh cookies are now available as well. I might give one of those a try when I swing down for lunch later on today. While the tractors head on down track as well to continue to clean up some of whatever was left behind by our last pairing down. We'll also thank National Tire Wholesale for sponsoring the Pro Bracket category. Proud to have you along as a valued partner at Mission Raceway Park. Their commitment to keeping drivers equipped with quality tires and trusted brands supports not only the racing world, but everyone who lives life in the fast lane. Thank you, National Tire Wholesale, for keeping BC rolling. And of course, our sportsman class sponsor as well, Vancouver Car Wraps. Huge shout out to them for their support at Mission Raceway. From race-ready designs to custom commercial wraps, they know how to make vehicles stand out on and off the track. Thank you for helping us to keep things bold, eye-catching, and full throttle at every event.
Hi, I'm Devin Handel. I'm with the Tristan Plumbing. I'm the lead foreman here. You need people that you can trust. We like to promote within our company because we know we can trust the guys that are within it. We do have a good competitive wage program.
I was working for another general contractor and I wasn't really having the best time. I talked to the foreman there. I saw opportunities with the Tristan. I decided to take them and it's been great.
Workers, people in their mid-20s, or even people looking for just a new kind of career, it's been an awesome opportunity to get in right now. At the end of the day, I go home happy, you kind of see what you build here. You can walk away from it and be proud. If you're ready and eager to build a career that grows with you, look no further than a Tristan Mechanical.
At Black Bandit, we're more than just a brand. We're craftsmen, designers, and engineers dedicated to create top-tier exhaust systems right here in North America. Our mission? To deliver unmatched quality and performance for those who demand the best. Our team of skilled professionals brings a unique blend of experience and dedication to each step of our process. From designers to welders, every member plays a critical role in transforming raw materials into high
So Chris Stone and Jim Banky rolling back into the water box, and how about this? They've actually done a little do-si-do on us. It used to be Chris Stone to the right lane. He's off to the left this time, while Banky will take things up to the right.
Stone on the left, Benke on the right. Benke turns it red by 21 thou. Stone also red, but by just 9 thousandths. So how close is Jim Benke going to get to the 1199 dial minimum?
Nowhere close, I think, is the correct answer.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty good. Almost 3 seconds off. So you can literally have a 2-second reaction time and still run that guy down.
Twin dragsters up next, one of them being Jeremy Soares for the Soares Transport Quick Tech Race Cars Camera Dragster. 584 cubic inches of motor behind the driver.
So round number 1 of time trials. So Jeremy paying attention to the tree. 0-12 is reaction time. Reaction time in the right lane. I don't know what happened there, but it was off a little bit. Nice number at the finish line, however. 698, 191 miles an hour for the right lane. Soares goes 736 at 180 miles an hour.
First sub-7 second time of the day and over 190 miles an hour. A good run for that dragster on the far lane. Justin Bond will now bring up the 2001 Pontiac GTO. He faces off against Jivon Brar with a 1978 Chevrolet Camaro on the far side.
Oh, Brar in that Camaro. A bit of history with that car here at Mission Raceway Park. Spent a lot of its life being flat black. Jan Christensen decided to spruce up the look a little bit. Bond, his top sportsman car. 01 Pontiac GTO. Bond, red by just 2 thousandths of a second at the finish line. How about 780? 149 miles an hour. 149, I think he's off the gas maybe a little early. Brar in the right lane, 1060, 123 miles an hour. Brar with an 017 light to start things off. Now, Craig Johnson and Aiden Katnick. Katnick in the right lane, behind the wheel, the 89 Mustang for Lordco and TK Performance. Johnson for PC Scale and Johnson's Custom Exhaust, Tower Side, behind the wheel of the wagon. Wagon likes to leave front wheels way up in the air this year. Oddly enough, they claim they didn't change a whole lot. Moved the battery to the back. That's certainly going to aid in the wheelie department, but you wouldn't think it would explain this. Look at that. I don't know if the back bumper quite touched the ground, but it was awful close.
Had to have been under a few inches.
Johnson with a 13 light. Aiden Katnick actually was better on the starting line with a double 09 at the finish line. Katnick nails the Super Comp Index, goes 890 at 152 miles an hour. Craig Johnson, 1050 at 122.
Aaron Young, the next one up with the 2007 dragster out of Chetwynd, going up against the JBS Equipment and JS Power Sports 1927 Ford Roadster, headed up by Mike Robinson. Last pairing here in Radtorch Systems Super Pro. Robinson was not present for the season opener a couple of weeks ago, but he is back for more here for race number 3 staged up alongside Aaron Young. And we'll send another last down track to Super Pro. Hopping a skip for Robinson, 007 on the tree. Good light for him. Aaron Young will get their first 8:11 at 162 miles an hour. Robinson goes 9:11 at 142. So first pairing up in Rad Torque Systems Super Pro, Mark Rochelle on the far side. Running the Malibu, dialed in at that Super Street Index. And still looking to hit that in the second round of qualifying here. Going up against Jan Christensen with a 2009 TNT Dragster, sporting that 598 cubic inch Sunset motor. On that one, Christensen goes 7:18, 184 miles an hour. Rochelle goes 10:87 and 128. Next up, it's Colton Moore with the Moore Motorsports Race Tech Dragster, dialed in against Mark Muscant for the Lorco Auto Parts 1972 Chevrolet. Scan 1056 at 130. Then coming on up, it's going to be Kevin McNichol and Mike Stewart. Track going to go 10:05 at 131. McNichol 10:08 at 132. Next up, it is Mike Robinson and Ted Buss. Twin Roadsters here. JBS Equipment and JS Power Sports over here on the left lane. Shonigan Trucking and Straight Line Race Cars on the far lane. So good life for Robinson, goes 9:12 at $142. Ted Buss going to go 8:98 at 142. Next up, it's Emma Debris-Coos and Warren Jacobson. The B&D Lift Trucks, Shonigan Truck and Competition Tree Services, Straight Line Race Cars, and Bowtie Ventures Dragster didn't get off the line at all once, and then not too well the second. Took 2 attempts just to get the first qualifier in, hoping for more. No doubt some adjustments have been made. A little while since we last saw that race car up. Much better launch that time for Emma DeBrincouz, and looking like the Gremlins may have been sorted. Goes 857 at 148 miles an hour. Jacobson 1089 at 141. That brings up the Gibsons. Jason versus Justin. Justin goes 967 at 139. At 138, it'll be the 968 from Jason on the other side. Bringing up Javon Brar. That Camaro going up against Justin Bond in the 2001 Pontiac GTO. His car may have lost a bit of life in it. Brar goes 1062 at 128, while Justin coasts across to an 1181. We'll bring up Dan Parsons with a Quality Racing Duster now against Paul Soares. With a 95 Pontiac. Paul Soares down track, goes 811 at 168. Dan Parsons 1090 with the 7 at 131. So a great top impact there for Dan Parsons. 7th valve off that mark. We'll now bring up Jeremy Soares for the Soares Transport and Quick Tech Race Cars Cameron Dragster. Race of the White Knuckle Racing Model A, piloted by Rob Monroe Sr. An hour, senior 856 at 154. And now it's John Jenkins. The West Coast Building Restorations, McKenzie Racing, Bubba Speed Shop S10 will go up against the 1967 Camaro out of Shoreline, Washington, driven by Fred Hoffman. Through 4. Jenkins 001 red on the tree goes 1033 to buck 27. Hoffman will run his 008 green to a 1031 at 127. Next up it is Andy Hatton and Dale Phillips. The Mustang going up against the Bubba Speed Shop Titanium Auto Group, Thames Roofing and Velocity Chemicals Camaro. Phillips way out in front, 755 at 179 miles an hour. Hampton 832 at 161. Trio of dragsters, one in the water box, two on the line. The two on the line are Greg Dowdy, the Mondin dragster, going up against the 2007 machine, headed up by Aaron Young. Downey 006 Red follows them with a 773 at 170 miles an hour, while Young goes 810 at 162. And the next pair, Lorenz Schwartz on the far side with the North Montparnasse Titanium Honda Group Monte Carlo, going up against Glenn Monahan. No time for Monahan here, and Schwartz goes 10-18 at 131. Next up, it's John DeBack. Grand Fork Systems Titanium Auto Group S10 will go up against Aiden Katnick with the Lorco Auto Parts and TK Performance Mustang Fox Body. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Super Combo, we need Super Combo to lanes 5 and 6. Super Combo, bring them on up, lanes 5 and 6. John's 007 will follow up with a 001. Might be another qualifier. Katnick goes 887 at 152. Was 006 on the tree for him, while Tobacco goes 1045 and 126. And now the last two going to be Daryl Tippy and Craig Johnson. .014 to an .024. That'll wrap out qualifying for Super Pro. 856 for the White Knuckle Racing Model A, 719 for the TNT Dragster on the far side. Start for Rob Monroe Sr. and a tough break for the White Knuckle Racing Model A as he goes 7th out, 1 to the mark. Jan Christensen will get the freebie into the next round. So Dan Parsons up next in the Quality Racing Duster, dials in at 1090. Compared to Andy Hatton for the Bubba Speed Jump, Titanium Auto Group, Teams Roofing and Velocity Chemicals, Camaro, dubbed the Grinch, dialed in at 829. Top end and lead, Parsons moving on as Hatton way too slow on that one, went 841 to the 829. Parsons moves into round 2. Bring up Mark Muscant and John Jenkins. 1055 for the Warco Auto Parts Chevrolet going up against the West Coast Building Restorations, Mackenzie Racing above a Speed Shop 88 S10. Dialed in at 1033. Top end of the racetrack, it's going to be Jenkins taking it on a double breakout. Bring up Paul Soares and Justin Gibson. The 1995 Pontiac dials at 811, but Gibson will leave first. The 88 Mustang dialed at 963. Top end of the track, Soares gets around him, 813 at 163 miles an hour. Next up, twin dragsters. Colton Morin for the Morin Motorsports Race Tech Dragster over here, tower side. up against Greg Dowdy, the Mondin Drags are down at 774 to Morgan 790. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Super Combo, this is your standby call. Super Combo, this is your standby call. Two green lights to the top end of the racetrack. This one, oh, gonna go the way of Dowdy as Morin got there first, but goes under by 3 thousandths in doing so. Another rough day for Colton Morin. So we'll bring up Justin Bond and Craig Johnson. 775, 2001 Pontiac GTO for the Pro Mod driver going up against the BC Scales, Johnson's Customs Exhaust, Malibu Wagon down to 1057. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Super Combo to the lanes, Super Combo to the lanes. We need Super Combo to the lanes. Combo to the lanes for laddering. Johnson is away, Bonds in hot pursuit. Top band, it'll be Craig Johnson as Justin Bond goes under on a double breakout. Mike Stewart brings up the buck. Has been the excavated Ken Specialty Auto, Gibson Race Transmissions, and Big Al Motorsports. Super Chick with Chevy 2 to dial in at 10:04 against Javon Brar with the 1978 Camaro to dial in at 10:60. Red light for Stewart and Brar with the free pass to round number 2. Star for Jeremy Soares as he is going to be taken out by Mike Robinson. Robinson was 011 to the good. Soares was 011 red. And that will bring out the next pair. Daryl Tippy to face off against Ted Buss. The Chevy 2 dialed in at 1050 against the Shawnigan Trucking Straight Line Race Cars Roadster dialed in at 897. And Daryl Tippy takes that one on an easy win as Ted Buss goes 4/10 deep on the reaction time there. Next up is Super Combo Runners, Martin preparation for the Super Combo race coming on up in just a little while. And it's a breakout for Jacobson. Got there by 8 thou under the dial. Attention to pits, attention to pits. Super Combo, we need you back to the lanes. Super Combo once again to the lanes. Super Combo to the lanes. Fred Hoffman with the Brent Schwartz both get away on the lines. Again, this is a race for the top end as it'll be Schwartz getting there by 4 thou ahead of Fred Hoffman. Next up it is Aaron Young and Jason Gibson. The 2007 Dragster dialed in the 810 against the 91 Mustang Fox Body dialed in the 968. Gibson 971 at 130 miles an hour. Young goes 812 at $161. Gibson got there first by way of being almost 2/10 better on the tree. And that'll bring up Dale Phillips with the 67 Shelby Mustang dials in at 742. Aiden Katnick making some noise tower side for the Lorco Auto Parts and TK Performance 88 Mustang Fox Body. Down to the 888. Oh, and problems set in immediately for Dave Phillips, but it will not matter. Aiden Katnick goes red on the tree, giving Phillips the freebie. Could have shut the car off deliberately, looking to save the equipment. Lucked out there on that one. 11th thou red for Katnick as Phillips on a slow cruise. At $129. Degree Hughes goes 866 at 144. System by going on the first hammer instead of the green light. Obviously his car not quick enough to run in this category, but he dialed to the absolute most that he could. He's just here for the points, and I think that run made it pretty evident. So first pair up, John Jenkins running the West Coast Building Restorations S10, dials in at 10:32. Facing off against the Lorco Auto Parts. The Titanium Auto Group, Monte Carlo. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. We need Hot Rod to lanes 1 through 4. Hot Rod, bring them on up, lanes 1 through 4. Hot Rod to 1 through 4. Jenkins gonna move on to the next round as Ren Schwartz finishes behind him. And bring up the next duo. Dan Christensen on the far side versus Jason Gibson in the 91 Mustang Fox body over here. Tower side, 968 to the 718 dialed in for the TNT Dragster. To knock out the dragster. Christensen lacking a little bit on the tree, and that was enough to do him in at the top end. That brings up Chris Stone versus John Tabak. Stone Cold Racing, Wilbur Chrysler Dodge Dart 1006 to John Tabak for the Rad Torque Systems and Titanium Auto Group S10, dialed in at 1044. Chris Stone moving to the next round of eliminations. That'll bring him Martin Rochelle and Dan Parsons. The Super Street Malibu dials in at 1088 alongside the Quality Racing Duster dialed in at 1090. Chasing Brar, 3 thou down to the tree, but it's not going to matter as he will take out Javon Brar as Brar goes 7 thou under the dial. Attention to pits, attention to pits. We need Super Combo to lanes 5 and 6. Super Combo, come on up, lanes 5 and 6. Combo to 5 and 6. Bring up Paul Soares. Bring up Daryl Tippy. The 9-5 Pontiac dials in at 8:11 against Tippy with the 62 Chevy 2 dialed in at 10:56. Of course, with that, we will put all juniors on standby. So, juniors, this is your standby call. Paul Soares chasing Daryl Tippy. Can't get there enough. Tippy right on the money with 10:56 on the 10:56 dial. Takes out Paul Soares. That brings up Dale Phillips and Kevin McNichol. Attention to pits, attention to pits. Hot Rod, where are you? Hot Rod, we're looking for you. Hot Rod, you are late. Get on down here, Hot Rod. Phillips trying to take out last race's winner, Kevin McNichol, to the top end of the racetrack. He will not get it done. Kevin McNichol maintains his strong momentum into the next round. Greg Dowdy and Craig Johnson. 774 Mondin Dragster versus the BC Scale Johnson's Customs Exhaust Malibu Wagon. Down to 10:56. Johnson once again strikes the bumper. Brad Dowdy takes off after him. Can the dragster run down the Malibu Wagon? It sure does. Johnson got there first by 200ths, but he was under by 3 thousandths. So Dowdy moving on into the next round. So Kevin McNichol and John Jenkins, the next pairing up, 10:07 to a 10:33 as they roll back into Rad Torque Systems Super Pro. 1967 Chevy Nova dials in at 10:07 against John Jenkins' 1988 West Coast building McKenzie Racing Bubba Speed Shop S10 dialed in at 10:33. Hey, attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Junior finalists to the lanes. Junior finalists, come on up to the lanes. Junior finalists to the lanes. McNichol moves into the semis as John Jenkins sent packing.
Well, Nolan, I'm back up here. I'm sure you're well aware. I got a little bit of time on my hands this afternoon. So Jason Gibson and Dan Parsons gonna face off here. Parsons, 1090. Using the stop. Jason Gibson dialed in at 968. Running down the duster. Does he get there? No. Dan Parsons hangs on, gets to the stripe first by 39 thou to come up 1091 on the 1090. Gibson gave up 22 thousandths on the starting line and then was well off the number at the finish line. Now Chris Stone and Daryl Tippy. You know, I want to say that this has already happened, possibly. Daryl Tippy, did he not take out Chris Stone in round 1 of Blue Bracket this morning?
Took call to the solid rematch then. One of these drivers carrying quite a few thou in the back pocket. That driver, he is going to be the one that moves on the double breakout. 34 off the mark for Stone, only 8/10 Daryl Tippy.
Stone actually getting to the stripe first by 3 1,000ths of a second, but Daryl Tippy winning the double breakout. How about that? Greg Dowdy coming up. Tower side. Good to see Greg. Back in the Rad Torque Systems dragster. Greg took a couple years off. So he's dialed 774. Mike Robinson for JBS over there in the right lane. Dialed in at 910. In the cool little Roadster. Turns it red by 0.02 of a second. Dowdy solid on the starting line. 0.25 at the finish line. He's one above 75 on the 774 dial. So it looks like our Super Pro semifinalists making their way around the corner. So I know one pairing is going to be a couple of red Rad cars. The red Rad dragster, tower side. The red Rad Nova in the Lordco lane. So Greg Dowdy here in the semifinal. Gonna take on the reigning champ, Kevin McNichol. As mentioned, the reigning champ also victorious 2 weeks ago at the season opener here, the Titanium Strip at Mission Raceway Park. McNichol's dialed 1007. Greg Dowdy dialed 774. So just a little over 2.25 seconds will separate these two at the starting line. Four bulbs lit. Here comes the tree. So 14 thou separate them back here at the starting line. At the finish line, it is Kevin McNichol going dead 8 on the 1007 dial, taking 11 thousandths at the finish line. Greg Dowdy had the starting line advantage, but comes up 777 at the finish line on the 774 dial. Now the second half of our semifinal round. We will be deciding who's going to go to the final against Kevin McNichol. Be one of these two guys, Daryl Tippy or Dan Parsons. Look at that Daryl Tippy character. He won his first ever round in Super Pro this morning, and here he is in the semifinals. Dial 1050, little Chevy too. So Parsons on and off the stop. Going to play some side-by-side at the finish line, and it is Dan Parsons going 1091 on the 1090. Tippy to the stripe first by 49 thousandths to find himself at 1048 on the 1050 dial. Tippy had the starting line advantage, but it was not to be at the finish line. So it'll be Dan Parsons and Kevin McNichol coming up in just a little bit to make up our Super Pro final round. So Dan Parsons and Kevin McNichol have fired up the cars. They are making their way around behind the tower. They will be our final. So Kevin McNichol. Going to be coming up left side of the racetrack. He's going to dial 1007 in the red Nova. And in the right lane, the Quality Racing Duster, Dan Parsons. So Dan Parsons dials the Super Street Index of 1090. McNichol dials 1007. So it is going to look a little strange. Parsons will spend some time on the throttle stop. Mile per hour wise, though, they're not going to be that far apart at the finish line. 21 thou separate them back here at the starting line. At the finish line, looks like Parsons is ahead for now. No, it is McNichol getting to the stripe first. 10:09 on the 10:07. McNichol getting to the top by 5 thou to turn on the win light in the TCS lane. So Kevin McNichol wins 2 in a row to start off the 2025 season. So if he's trying to repeat as champion, I'd say that's a pretty good start right there.